bring a snack, maybe some comfy pajamas. We'll sit around, we'll listen to some Billie Eilish music. I like her songs. I especially like the one where she speaks very softly, sings very low, and kind of mumbles. I think the title of that one is All of Them.
And while their attempts at virtue signaling are sincerely repugnant, the reality of this industry is so much darker than just treating Don Lemon as someone to be admired rather than detested. You've heard about the new Epstein files, been out for a few weeks now, and if you want to know why Hollywood is so desperate to lecture you about morality, look at what their friends were doing. New documents, unredacted names we've suspected for years: Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, all exposed as the repulsive creatures they are. Les Wexner, the man behind Victoria's Secret, explicitly labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Yet no charges. But probably the most heinous revelation involves Leon Black, the private equity billionaire. A victim's diary was released describing violence, biting, absolute horror inflicted on a young girl with developmental disabilities. It is stomach churning. It is evil in its purest form. The DOJ isn't doing anything about it. The only person to suffer any consequences in the 3 weeks since these files have been released is Prince Andrew. But that wasn't the U.S. That was British police. Our DOJ has for some reason given no indication that they plan to investigate or make arrests. Pam Bondi says all the files have been released, which is untrue. There's still 3 million more, according to her own words. But I guess that's all we're getting. All these powerful men, the men that decide what we consume, from what we watch to what we read, McGraw-Hill, what we eat, what medications we can and can't consume. So the justice system doesn't apply to them. Got it. This is why Americans do not trust the government. And by the way, stop referring to the victims as underage prostitutes. Underage girls cannot be prostitutes. They can't consent. They are victims of child rape. Stop sugarcoating evil. Another thing the files seem to conveniently obscure is Epstein's ties to global intelligence, including the CIA, Mossad, British intelligence, French intelligence. The guy was a demonic pedophile. Our intel agencies knew about what he did, and they continued working with him. These are the people running the world. These are the people funding, for example, the movies your kids watch. And that brings us to the core of decrepitude in entertainment, particularly. They aren't stopping with the kids they abuse physically. They are coming for your children, and they're doing it on a global scale. If you have kids, you know this. You can't just turn on the television anymore for your kids. You can't trust Netflix. You can't trust Paramount. There is a decrepit, bizarre gender ideology being pumped into shows aimed at toddlers. This isn't about tolerance. Tolerance is a two-way street. This is about conversion. Look at what your kids are being exposed to on a daily basis.
I know I'm safe when I'm with my friends or other non-binary people.
Non-binary?
People who aren't female or male. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have assumed.
I always knew my pronouns felt right, but...
It's time for Brightball 101!
It's me. I'm trans, Norma. And everyone at school knows, and everyone at home knows. And being here, it's like a whole new place. I can just be Barney, and I can choose if and when I tell people. I've never been happier. And that's saying something when I spent today chased by terrifying zombie mascots. Pugsley reminded me how important it is to live your life without apology. So I think I gotta give living here a shot.
Why are they doing this? Why are they so obsessed with the sexual identity of 6-year-olds? Well, it does suggest a much darker agenda at play here. It suggests that they are trying to sever the bond between parent and child to confuse the most vulnerable people in society so that they are much easier to control. It is so ugly and dark and pervasive. And we need to talk about who is pulling the strings. And we're going to have that discussion with someone who has worked in Tinseltown. We're going to have that discussion right now. Joining me to discuss the underbelly of the entertainment industry is former executive story editor and writer on The George Lopez Show. He also was a producer and writer for Anger Management with Charlie Sheen, great show, and a number of other productions. He's got quite the background in Tinseltown. He's a comedian, he's a writer, and he's the host of the Loftus Party podcast. Michael Loftus, thank you so much for being here, sir. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It worked out wonderfully. The timing could not have been better. We should both get jobs with like NASA or Elon Musk or something, because we can time out a launch.
Absolutely, 100%. So there's a lot I want to talk to you about. I mean, we're only in the second month of 2026, and my gosh, what a year it has been. I mean, just breaking news every single day. It's hard to keep up, and I'm a news producer. But I wanted to ask you about, first get our audience a little bit about your background in the entertainment industry and how you got to where you are today.
Well, the long story short of it is I started doing I started as a stand-up, doing comedy clubs in the Midwest. Then I realized after getting a little bit of success, I needed to go to New York or Los Angeles. I picked LA because of the weather. And then as fate would have it, I was doing a show one night, and this big Latino guy grabbed me as I came off stage, and he goes, "Hey, you're a funny dude." He cursed. He goes, "And I got a show coming out, and I want funny people to write on it. So give me your number." And that was George Lopez. So a couple weeks later, I got a phone call from the production company going, "Hey, if you could send over a writing sample, we'd love to consider you for a job. George says you're funny." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure." And so I was heading up to San Francisco to do a weekend of shows. And so during the day, I wrote the writing sample that I needed. And then I came back on Monday and I gave it to him. And then long story short, became a writer on a TV show, and it was a wonderful experience, and I learned a lot, and I worked and met a lot of fantastic people. But then I'm like, okay, so I'm done with that. I'm just going to go do stand-up now. That's what I really want to do. And so as I'm getting back into stand-up, a friend of mine reaches out to me and he goes, "Hey, we're doing the show for NBC. It's going to be a single camera comedy. It's going to be more like film. And please come help me out." So I said yes to that because I wanted to learn about, film and single camera and cinema and stuff. So I did that. That was a wonderful experience. But I said, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to go back to television anymore. So I focused on stand-up. And then I got a call from another buddy who's like, "Just help me work on this thing." So then that turned into like 2 years of work on Anger Management with Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen and a bunch of other wonderful people. And then I said, "That's it. I'm done. I'm not going back." And then I got a call from this guy named Kevin James, who's like, "Hey, I'm coming back to television. Would you help out on the show?" And I said, "Yes, but I'm not going to stay. I'm not going to stay. I'm going to leave." So I stayed. and then I did another show with him on Netflix. And that was the final straw. That was all I needed to see. So then I decided to pack up my bags and start my own thing, because it's bad in Hollywood, and it's really bad for someone with my particular worldview and moral compass and all that other good stuff. So we can get into it later. But I started a studio. It's called Studio TST. It's a streaming service for people who just want to be entertained and don't hate America.
Don't want to be lectured, right?
Yes. They can't stop themselves. And I had a very eye-opening series of meetings back in the early 2000s because The Daily Show was huge. The Daily Show was just everything. And a friend of mine actually started the original Daily Show, the one before Jon Stewart. This
wow.
She's a comedian, Liz Winstead. She started the original Daily Show, and then it morphed into this political thing and just exploded. And at the time, like the vast majority of college students were deciding on how they were going to vote on all these issues based on what Jon Stewart was telling them. And I knew their editing tricks and how they, it was a bunch of stuff they actually learned from 60 Minutes. So we started an independent production that was kind of a right-leaning version of The Daily Show. And no one would touch it with a 10-foot pole. Advertisers wouldn't touch it. Independent. We were on in a bunch of markets. We did the show for 3 years, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and we were on in some markets. And then Kelsey Grammer saw an episode and was like, "We should do a big version of this." And it was after those meetings that everybody loved the show. Amazon, Netflix, everybody loved it. And they're like, we can't put this on TV. We're not going to put this on.
Cowards, man. Just pathetic.
It's not, I don't think it's cowardly. I think it's a religious, I really do. I think it's more of a religious belief in their, the way they think, in their worldview. They knew they would make money. They even said it. They go, we know we'll make money. We know this will be incredibly popular. And this was right after Roseanne got canceled, because Roseanne had done her return. And Roseanne, it was a ratings juggernaut. Every time that show came on, it was Roseanne voted for Trump and her sister didn't. And it was, boom, boom. But it was hilarious.
Right.
And America loved it. And she was getting ratings that were like NFL playoff games every week, but they didn't care. They had to find a way to get rid of her. So that's when I decided to start my own thing. I'm like, okay, this is bigger than money. This is bigger than money, and the only thing bigger than money is religion. So that's what I always equate it to.
Yeah, it's remarkable that anything could outweigh corporate greed, but I guess you're right. This cult of DEI, woke, progressive, alphabet soup that they've concocted, they really are dedicated to the cause. I'll give them that.
Yes.
So there was a recent spectacle of virtue signaling. It was called the Grammys. I'm not sure if you heard of it or not, but there were several mentions of ICE. Buttons were worn. I believe we have a compilation here, and I'll show it to you real quick.
Yay. I love...
Before I say thanks to God, I'm going to say eyes out.
Music's biggest...
We're not savage, we're not animals, we're not aliens, we are humans, and we are Americans.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
I guess I want to say I'm up here as a granddaughter of an immigrant. I wouldn't be here. I'm a product of bravery, and I think those people deserve to be celebrated.
Throughout the Sunday night telecast and from the red carpet before.
All right. Don't want to make our audience vomit.
Right?
But I mean, just there's so many things there that to pick apart. But I just want to remind our audience that 4 days before the Emmys took place, we had the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk, and not one individual spoke out and saying maybe we need to tone down the rhetoric, or even mentioned Charlie's name, because God forbid he's conservative. And but again, they take this opportunity to scream, F ICE and wear their buttons and do all that stuff. So first of all, and these are all people again who are flying in private jets, being driven around by chauffeurs. So I want to ask you, because did see your clip on Billie Eilish. When is the slumber party on Billie Eilish's stolen land? And should we bring sleeping
clip
bags?
I did. Yeah, I don't do a Donald Trump impression, so I do Christopher Walken instead.
Very good.
They're both from Queens, so it's kind of the same energy. I think I tell you, I think the Native Americans, the tribe that owns that property, I think they found a lawyer. She might actually lose her house, which would be hilarious. It would be hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
That's what's missing from these elitist snobs, is that they are never the victim of their own BS. It never affects them. You know, it's always rules for you, but not for me. Once you reach a certain level of financial success or power in government or whatever, you can say whatever you want. You can decree whatever you want, because it's not going to affect you. This could actually affect Billie Eilish, right? All these people who just a little while ago were like, defund the police, they weren't worried because they have private security that's going to protect them. Billie Eilish, oh, I can't stand Trump. No one is illegal. Bitch, you have a wall. You have a wall.
The irony is just so outrageous. I mean, and it's, again, unironic too. It's like they're not trying to be funny, but it's just they can't help it.
They're completely unaware. Great. Hold on. It's the people. I love it when these people that were anti-ICE, they set up blockades in the roads, and you weren't allowed in unless you came through their checkpoint and you could prove that you were part of this class and not that. Oh boy, the irony was so great. It's like, oh, so you believe in borders, do you? So you want to check IDs before you let just anybody in?
Checkpoints, yeah. Not borders, just checkpoints with masked thugs pointing guns in your face. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's much more American.
Waiting to see your papers.
Yeah, exactly. But on a little more serious note, do you think that this kind of rhetoric, her F-ICE, the comment, the buttons, does that add fuel to the fire in places like Minneapolis, which is literally on fire? I mean, does that make these radical lunatics in the streets feel more justified?
Oh, 110%. 110%. You're sitting at home and you're like going, I don't know, is it worth it? People are getting hurt. It's cold. It's dangerous. And then someone that you really look up to goes on television and pretty much tells you that you're right and that yours is a just cause. Oh yeah. Oh, this is going to get people hurt. It's going to get a lot of people hurt, because if you look at what went on in Minnesota and Minneapolis, you had this clash and people got hurt and everything got dialed up. And now the people with the hit records, the beautiful people, the Super Bowl entertainers are telling them, you've got a just cause here. Keep going. Keep going. So, hey, I'm a freedom of speech guy. You can say whatever you want to say, pretty much. However, there's going to be there's consequences to all this stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know if they don't realize, that because mob violence, when you create these mobs, it's not just the police officers who get hurt. And, I had some experience with OAN going up to LA in June when the riots were happening. And it really did feel like I was in a different country. It did not feel like I was in the United States. Every bus stop was shattered with, graffiti on it saying F ICE, F Trump. There were, federal agents lining the doorways of every federal building because all the windows had been smashed. It was absolute chaos. And, and I mean, do you think these people realize that they're getting a lot of their fans, the people who support them, they're putting them in real danger? Do you think they even care?
The thought has never crossed their mind. They're not worried about it at all. They're speaking truth to power.
Right.
And it comes back to, it's like a religious fervor. And then their friends are going to shower them with accolades and, oh, I know those people showed up at your house, but you're so brave. Don't ever stop. Oh, thank you, says Billie Eilish. It's a nightmare. And if anything, and I'll just go ahead and speak for the America First Brigade here. I think everybody voted for mass deportations. Everybody voted for that. So if I could talk to the president for a half an hour, I would advise him, stop being the bad guy. Stop being the bad guy and go to a business. If you're a business or a business owner and you have hired a bunch of illegals, you're gonna have some serious trouble. There's gonna be some serious penalties. And then ICE can just be nothing more than the tour guide. It's like, oh, did you just lose your job? Do you want to go home? We'll give you a lift. Here's what's the offer now? $2,000 and a free plane ride, and you get to get back in line to come in legally. And that's, I even hate to have the conversation about it, but it's probably good to say it. No one is anti-immigrant. We're a nation of immigrants. Yes, we all came from somewhere else. Yes, yes, yes. We don't like illegals. I did the Trump hands. Illegal.
Yes. And it is very important to point that out because, again, the dishonest legacy media just paints, Trump supporters as, oh, they hate immigrants because they're brown. Okay. Yeah. That's why Trump got more of the Latino vote and the black vote than he did in 2020 or 2016. Okay. Right. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So speaking of the Grammys, Don Lemon was, kind of heralded as this Martin Luther King-esque folk hero for storming a church with a group of psychopaths and harassing the attendees. You had children crying, people screaming. It didn't quite rise to the level, I think, of social activism that I Have a Dream achieved. But you had a very interesting take on Don Lemon. I want to play that for our audience real quick, and then we'll circle back in just a sec.
Huzzah!
Well, hello, everybody. Big you. What? So they tell me I need lawyers. Hey. What about the other stuff going on in the country? Isn't there stuff going on in California? Isn't there stuff going on with Elon Omar? Isn't there stuff going on with the World Economic Forum in Davos? I'm hearing that Gavin Newsom was in Davos and he was handing out free knee pads, and I didn't even get the invite. I didn't even get an invite. Between myself, Gavin Newsom, free knee pads, and Don Lemon, we could have had a great time. So it's rough out there. Please, there's other things to focus on. Leave me out of it, okay? I got plenty of squeezing I need to do. And do I look forward to it? In a way, yes. Just being honest. But
so, Don loves to squeeze lemons, and loves to have his lemon squeezed. But do you think Don will really get the squeeze? I mean, do you see any true accountability? I know he was arrested on federal conspiracy charges. That sounds very serious, but as we've seen so far with the Trump administration has not been very good at holding the people accountable who helped destroy our country. And that's one thing that I'm really frustrated about. But yeah, what's your take on Don Lemon?
Yeah, it was funny because I was able to fold that into a video. I knew that like the media and the powers that be were going to push the Don Lemon thing. Oh, it's going to be Don Lemon. So I'm like, okay, how can I do some like political comedy kung fu and get people to talk? Okay, so you're here for Don Lemon, but let's talk about all the fraud that's going on. Because that seems to be, there's like two big stories, really. One is the Epstein stuff, and it's still overwhelming. And then the other story is the massive amounts of fraud. And with what happened in 2016 with Trump-Russia collusion and the FBI and then COVID and the Wuhan lab and Fauci, I think we're at a tipping point where the media is going to keep trying these old tricks like, oh, Don Lemon, what's going to happen with Don Lemon? I'm like, hold the phone. Hold the phone. I'm still back here on the hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud in Minnesota and in California and in all 50 states. I'm still back. We need to doge the hell out of everything and then hold the people who are going to Epstein Island accountable.
100%. And I am very glad that you just mentioned the Epstein files, because that's what I wanted to transition to next.
Look at me go.
Yeah, man, you are on a roll. So you had a kind of scathing take on the FBI's kind of just handling of, the Epstein files and the FBI in general, which I completely agree with. Abolish it, but it should have never existed, never have existed. But with the regard to the release of these files, it has been, in my opinion, a PR nightmare for the Trump administration. First, it was the influencers getting the binders of information that was already available to the public, because apparently we don't know how to read and we need people to give us our information. And then then there was silence. Then the Trump administration came out and said, Epstein definitely killed himself and there are no flight logs. And then Trump posted a Truth Social post that said, anyone who, is talking about the Epstein files is, part of this hoax and they're not really MAGA. And it felt really bizarre. Now we have this release of all these files, you've got Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, just to name a few. So you've got tech bros, titans of industry, former president of the United States. But I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but that these are like a shiny object, a shiny distraction from what the American people really need to know. And that is to what degree was our CIA, was Israeli intelligence, British intelligence, other intelligence agencies aware of and complicit in the facilitation of Epstein's web of blackmail, sex trafficking, and influence peddling. And as you pointed out in your piece, Epstein has been on the FBI's radar since 1996 when, he was first reported.
It's a horror show, and I don't think that or maybe this is like a test. Maybe there's it's kind of like dipping your toe in the bathwater, because I always felt like that's what COVID was. Like COVID was, how compliant are these people? Like as a society, the American culture, how long will they put up with this? We'll start with 2 weeks and then we'll tell them they can't go to work. It feels like that's where we are right now with the Epstein stuff. This is, I can't get past, it feels biblical. It feels like a moral gut check for the entire country. Like I went to do a video, I was going to try to do a video on it tonight for my YouTube channel, The Loftus Party. And it just came across as so angry because I'm furious. Like the FBI and the CIA, whoever's responsible, you don't do that. You don't do that to another human being. I can see, we want to set up this little island and this guy's going to have politicians come over and then we'll be able to have leverage on them. Okay, once people start getting hurt, it's over. It's over. I don't care who the hell you are. We don't allow this as a culture. And for the FBI to play these games and to run cover. So the FBI, and I want to get rid of the whole institution. I used to be one of those guys where there's 96% of the people are great. No, they're all horrible. They're all horrible. If they're not being whistleblowers and talking about who's running the show over there, they did the Trump-Russia collusion. They tried to interfere with our presidential election. Then they did the Hunter Biden laptop. They slept on that story and they censored people on Facebook and Twitter and social media to make sure that wouldn't affect the presidential election. Now we're finding out they were covering for people who were doing the most horrific crimes to children. Oh, we're past the point of talking. I'm at like grab the pitchforks, let's get some torches and storm. And then I forgot to mention their little, we might have had a couple of undercover FBI assets as part of January 6th. And then that just, it makes my blood boil, man, because all of those people who were just, their only crime was they were there on January 6th.
Exactly.
And like no trial, their constitutional rights got thrown out the window. They're in solitary confinement. They're looking at 10, 20 huge sentences for going into a building that they were invited into. And I get livid when I think about this. And I really do. It feels like they want to see how many like Christians are left, how many God-fearing people are left. Like they want to get an assessment of like, who's going to put up with this? It's wild to me. It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, yeah, it's like if you give a mouse a muffin or whatever that book is, and, they just keep taking an inch and an inch and an inch and an inch and an inch until, And I think, as you pointed out, COVID was a perfect example of that. It's like, okay, first we're going to tell you that you have to wear a mask. Then we're going to tell you that you can't leave your home. Then we're going to tell you how many people you can have inside of your home. Then we're going to tell you have to take an experimental jab just to go back to work. I mean, they really, really pushed it. And I mean, vaccine mandates were very close to becoming a real thing. And thank God, they didn't. But I mean, you talk about, the two-tier justice. I mean, just to go back to Don Lemon for a quick second, if you and I had led, a group of conservatives into a mosque to protest the way Don Lemon did, you and I would both be in solitary confinement. No question about it. Probably. Absolutely in jail. Probably in solitary confinement. But I mean, it's just so glaring and absurd and offensive, and it's hard not to be furious when you think about the depravity of these people and what they were doing. And it could have been stopped, and it wasn't. For what end? To what end? To what end? It's really
then you have the Department of Justice saying we have no plans to go after anyone. And this batch of emails that we're all sifting through and trying to figure out what's real and what's fake and all that other stuff. So I'm really trying to be patient about this. But the Department of Justice is like, we're not going to show you the really bad stuff. We're not going to. So this is what the stuff that's horrifying any sensible human being. This is what they're like, well, let's see who's okay with this. But they're not. The real stuff is still behind the curtain. And you're just like, I don't want this kind of elitist class to be in charge of my future as an American. We know that they're frauds. We know through the way they've abused the nonprofit organizations and the NGOs and the non-governmental organizations. And they like nothing is beneath them. They're like, we'll call it a child care center, but we'll just keep the money. We'll call it a hospice, but we'll keep the money.
Homeless shelter, rehab.
It's horrifying that they're taking money that's meant to really help people and they're lining their own pockets with it. Then you find out about Epstein Island and the Zorro Ranch and all this other stuff, and they have no intention of stopping. None whatsoever. And I don't think Epstein was the only island. I think that it's got to be everywhere. I don't think he was some kind of unicorn. No. I think this is a tried and true technique. And we gotta shake the rafters. We gotta shake the pillars of the justice system and demand it. We need to demand it.
Yeah.
Or why are we participating? The government takes all of this money from us in taxes, but the roads are still crap. The social services are still crap. You can't get a cop when you need them. You can't get somebody to put out your house if it's on fire in the Pacific Palisades. They're failing on these very basic, fundamental things. and then telling you, oh, you got to be okay. You got to be okay with a bunch of pedophiles doing what they want to do because they're important people. And you got to be okay with paying more taxes. I saw Dr. Oz on a clip talking about we might have to raise the Social Security retirement age because they're running out of money. I thought my head was going to explode. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's trillions of dollars in fraud. America should be a utopia. This place should be an absolute utopia where you retire when you're 35 with the way we pay taxes.
It's obscene. And especially as someone who lives in California, I looked at my W-2 the other day and, oh God, I just literally wanted to throw up in my mouth. I threw up in my mouth a little bit. I mean, just the amount of money they scrape up out of my paycheck is just obscene. State and local taxes.
They have like a system like built in, because like I remember, I would have to do a lot of shows to make a lot of money as a comedian, right? And then I started working in television, and I'm like, okay, so now I'm a baby writer, and then you're an executive story editor, and then they got all these tiers to it. But on paper, you look at the salary and you're like, wow, I'm doing okay. But man, after the government takes their hunk, the federal government, the local, the state, and then it was like I was making more money as a comedian telling jokes than I was as like a co-executive producer on a TV show. It was insane. Wow. And as a comedian, at the time, I think it was the Obama administration, for every dollar I made as a comedian, I think my portion of that I got to keep was 36 cents.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's just it's insane. It's insane. And yet somehow we're still $38+ trillion in debt, and with more coming. And I mean, and like you said, it would be nice if the roads were clean, and we didn't have potholes, and we didn't have feces lining the sidewalks of major downtown cities, and needles and all the and open air drug markets and all this other stuff. But people like Gavin Newsom and Tim Walz apparently thrive in that kind of environment. So. In the chaos, because then they can see, hey, I'm going to offer you a solution to the chaos. So they're creating the problem, then be like, hey, just give me more money, and I can offer you the solution, right? Okay.
Yeah. Gavin,
fool me once, shame on me.
Gavin Newsom, he can clean the hell up out of a city. All you have to do is tell Gavin Newsom that the Chinese grand leader is coming, and he'll clean up. Remember when he did that with San Francisco? They're like,
his true master, right?
Yes.
the one he truly serves. Yes. He doesn't serve the American people. No. He serves the CCP.
Right. My Chinese communist master is coming over, so I got to get rid of all the homeless people and clean up these streets.
That is hilarious and sad at the same time. But I do want to circle back to Holllywood. Just as kind of the far radical left has an obsession with being able to kill babies up until and even after they're born, Holllywood has an obsession with killing beloved intellectual properties that have stood the test of time. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, more recently Marvel. The superhero genre being completely overrun by woke ideologues who aren't creative and are clearly more focused on making a political statement than they are with telling a good story. So I want to ask you, and I'll kind of go one by one down the list. Can these franchises be saved? Let's start with Star Wars. They have a movie coming out in May. Nobody seems to be interested in it at all.
Oh, I think you're talking about The Mandalorian and Grogu?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be... It'll probably make money, because I think they figured out a way to film that stuff on a pretty good budget. They have a really interesting way of doing like backdrops with The Mandalorian. It was groundbreaking technology. Every single one of these intellectual properties can be saved. Star Wars can be saved. All of them. The problem is it's the writers and the producers and the preconceived notion. This is my opinion of what they want to have happen. They want to make all of these intellectual properties girl franchises. That's where all of this is going. The idea, and I should get some kind of like an award for this, because I called it ages ago, because I could see it as a writer in working in Hollywood and everything. They have systematically killed the male hero, the character who I can do it on my own. It's one guy against everybody. That used to be America's bread and butter. That was Hollywood's bread and butter. High Noon with Gary Cooper, John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, Tarzan, all of them. It was one guy against everybody else. And boy, that guy, he figured it out and he made a way. And that's who little kids wanted to be. You wanted to be Daniel Boone in the 1950s. They systematically got rid of all of those. And then they started force feeding everybody the Care Bears, which is pretty much, it's an introduction to communism. We can't do this alone. Don't you care? Don't you have empathy? And I think that was one of like the little seeds of this suicidal empathy that we're getting now. The Teletubbies, all of it, everything got very gentle. And there was like this strong feminine energy of, oh, it's under. So they know they're doing it. They know they're doing it. And if you look at what Disney did with the way they rolled out their Star Wars shows, and even with Marvel and the way they rolled out their shows on Disney Plus, every single one of those franchises, we're going to hand this off to a girl. We're going to hand this off to a girl.
Yes,
It's not about Luke Skywalker. It's about Rey. She's the Force is feminine. And Hawkeye, the archer from Marvels.
Yes,
he's going to have a spunky teenage sidekick girl, and he's going to learn from her. And it's
Loki,
not anti-woman.
Loki show. It was about, it was really about the female variant of Loki. I mean, they did the bait and switch with like several Marvel properties in a row. It was like 2022 to 2023 when they just went crazy. Thor wasn't about Thor. I mean, that was just infuriating. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Continue.
No, those are all great examples. And I'm of the belief that the American viewing public, is very smart, and you can sense it. You're like, well, this isn't a good story. And a lot of time, like with Captain Marvel, the girl, Miss Marvel, whatever, it's like she didn't even have the hero's journey. She just started as this overpowered hero. So you weren't worried about her. You weren't concerned. So I want to be very clear. This isn't like anti-woman, because
no, of course not.
How great was Linda Hamilton in Terminator? How great was Sigourney Weaver in all the Aliens movies?
Yeah.
If you tell the story well, we love it. But they were telling crappy stories from a crappy perspective, and the audience just isn't going to buy it.
Yeah, you look at like Mulan, for example. The cartoon version of Mulan is awesome, and you love it.
Yes.
But then you get this, woke 2022 or 2020 version of Mulan, and it's like she's good at everything because she's a woman. Period. Shut up.
Yeah.
Sexist.
Right.
Like,
there's a great. I'm gonna tell you this. I want to give credit where credit's due. It's called Blue-Eyed Samurai, and it's this anime on Netflix, and I think season 2 is about to come out in the next couple of months. It's outstanding. It's about this young girl growing up in feudal Japan, and she doesn't fit in, and nobody likes her. And then it's the classic. They kill her master, and so she's got to get revenge. It's fantastic.
That sounds appealing. Sounds a lot better than the garbage we're usually fed.
Yes.
I do want to ask you, do you think so? Marvel has arguably probably the most anticipated movie of 2026 coming out, Avengers Doomsday. My take is that this will kind of be like Marvel's death rattle. Like, this movie will make $1 billion, and then the follow-up Secret Wars will probably make $1 billion plus. But I think after that, I think the fans just want to see the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, everybody on one screen. They want that big crossover that they've been waiting for decades. They're getting Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, they're getting Ian McKellen as Magneto, they're getting all Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier. They're getting all the heroes with the actors that they like. But I think after that, Marvel will kind of fade into kind of irrelevancy.
Yeah, it's with Marvel. They made a move at the end of what was the second Infinity? What was the one with the gauntlet and Thanos? Infinity War. They made a choice there that really, that's when I knew it was going to be bad. It was going to be very bad. When they decided to kill Tony Stark, there was, as a writer, when you're writing that scene, you have to think, so what's the upside? What's the upside? If we kill Tony Stark, what does that mean? All it means is people will be sad in the theater for a few minutes, but you're taken away. You're not going to do any more Iron Man movies with Tony Stark, and you might want Robert Downey Jr. Notice how they figured a way to bring him back, but this time as Doctor Doom.
Right.
So it was a super stupid decision, a really dumb decision. So I'm like, oh my God, the idiots really are in charge. So they know that. And they think they're so smart. They think they're so smart that, like, sci-fi people, comic book people, they love cameos. They love cameos. So they've brought back everybody and their mother to be in this new Avengers thing. And I think it's just going to be like a Jackson Pollock painting. You're like, what even is this? What even is this? Hey, there's Magneto. Hey, there's the Human Torch. Hey, there's that guy. It's not going to mean
just a bunch of member
anything.
Berries being thrown at you. Remember this guy? Remember this guy? Remember this guy?
Ooh, remember that guy? Hey, there's the stretchy guy. Oh, there's a guy with the glasses. It's going to be nothing. It's going to be nothing. And then they'll blame it all on superhero fatigue. They'll go, oh, it's superhero fatigue. We might have done too much there.
And review bombing, because whenever a Marvel movie gets bad reviews, it's because of some kind of either sexism or racism. Because they don't like a black Captain America, so yeah, they're all racist because they don't like Anthony Mackie as Captain America. He must be a racist. The guy came out and said Captain America doesn't represent American values, and you wonder why the movie didn't perform well at the box office.
Yeah, it's a very tough thing to do, and it's they made the choice to kill 007. They killed James Bond, and to me, that kills the entire franchise. That kills the entire franchise. I don't care. I can't even enjoy the prequels anymore because I know that James Bond, he's not going to get the girl. He dies on an island. They blow him up. I'm not into that. I don't want to watch that. It's like Han Solo. When Kylo Ren kills Han Solo, I'm like, okay, all of these characters are dead to me. All of them are dead to me. They don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, it really is sad. Yeah, the way they did Han Solo so dirty like that, and Luke.
It's funny. There's an audio tape, and for all your viewers, you can go online and you can find it, and it's George Lucas, and he's working on the script for The Empire Strikes Back, and he's working with Lawrence Kasdan. So Lawrence Kasdan he co-wrote Empire and Return of the Jedi, and then he worked on the new trilogy as well. Lawrence Kasdan, he keeps saying to George Lucas, I feel like maybe we should kill Luke, and then Leia takes over, and George Lucas is like, no, we're not going to kill Luke Skywalker. And then Lawrence Kasdan's like, well, maybe if we killed Han Solo, because people need to feel that this war is real and it has meaning. And George Lucas starts laughing and he's like, stop saying that. Like, stop. No one's going to die. This is a fairy tale. Our heroes are going to live. They're not going to ever die. So stop saying it. And Lawrence Kasdan is like, well, I just, it just would be nice if, we felt a little. It's like he was so desperate to kill somebody. He just didn't get it. He just didn't understand the material. He didn't understand Star Wars. It's not like anything else. It's
not Game of Thrones,
a fairy tale. It's a fable. Yes. Yeah. It's not Game of Thrones. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. So, I mean, another franchise I want to touch on real quick is Stranger Things. I personally was a big fan up until the fifth season. I thought it was a unique, it was an original series for one. I know they took a lot of, Dungeons and Dragons lore and nonstop 80s movies references, but an original series drafted by two brothers who seemed to know what they were doing. I mean, they built a pretty compelling story to me through 4 seasons, and then the 5th season just fell off a narrative cliff. It reminds me of Game of Thrones, and so I guess my question is, like, are these people just not creatively capable? Is it the religion that you mentioned, or are they just lazy?
It's very sad. It's very sad to watch. I didn't even watch season 5 of Stranger Things. I thought that show was brilliant. Like the first season of Stranger Things, shut the front door. This is great. I loved the characters. I loved how the dynamic. The villain was fantastic. It was spooky enough, but there were rules. It was. It ended after season 4. It ended after season 4, and then I think Netflix offers you a giant pile of money, and you're like, okay, we'll do it. And then the executives are like, oh, it would be so powerful. It would be so powerful if there were some like gay issues we could talk about. We could do some racial stuff. We could really talk about. That's where you're gone. You've lost yourself in. You can't see the forest through the trees.
Right.
And it's just sad. It's just sad, really. And that's how it'll be remembered, as one of those great fumbles. Like Game of Thrones, huge fumble, but they just fumbled through bad storytelling. Those guys, they're just not good at their job. But they were relying on
George R.R. Martin throughout, the first 5.5 seasons, and then when they didn't have
those guys, I remember, I forget what show I was writing on, but all the other writers looked at me like I was crazy, because the dudes from Game of Thrones got a 3-picture deal with Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm.
Yes, I remember that.
And I'm like, what have they ever made? Like, what have they made up? At least the guys from Stranger Things, they made this up.
Yeah.
They created a thing. Yeah, and that's what, with the way Hollywood is working right now, we should be in the golden age of entertainment. Truly the golden age of entertainment. You've got computer graphics, you've got all kinds of this, everybody has a great camera. We should be telling the most daring, wonderful stories and doing phenomenal remakes. It should be a cavalcade, but it's like the accountants were in charge. I had a pitch meeting years ago at a studio for an animated thing that I wanted to do. And they just told me, we have to know that this thing makes $250 million domestically. So we're going to test the hell out of the story. Because I remember when, before Lilo and Stitch came out, I got a robocall from a Disney company going, would you watch a movie about a young girl learning to surf? If you would, press 5. If you wouldn't, press 1. And it was like a half hour long. And it was like story elements of Lilo and Stitch. And then like 2 years later, that movie comes out and I'm like, oh my God, I was part of the creative process.
That's very interesting.
So they look they look at the movies and how much they're making. And so they go, oh, these comic book movies and Star Wars movies are making a lot of money, so we're going to do those. We're not going to do movies like this. We're not going to do like these fun independent. So they have like blinders on. And so now everything is garbage. Everything is just kind of like meh. It's very rare to see something that like really takes you out of your daily grind and you're like, wow, that was wonderful. That was an escape. That was entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's another reason that I wanted to start, Studio TST. It's a humble streaming service right now. However, more people are finding out, more independent filmmakers are finding out, and we're slowly growing. But in the next 2 years, I really want to be a major studio, a major player in this. And I honestly can't believe, well, whatever. I'm happy that we're doing it.
Well, yeah, and the fact that, we're going to need studios like yours because the Netflix Warner Brothers merger, I mean, that is just going to consolidate all of the, basically the entirety of the entertainment industry, aside from, 3 studios, is going to be under one umbrella, and it's a very, very woke umbrella. Speaking of Netflix,
yes.
They're very, very corrosive, specifically with their propaganda aimed at children. The non-binary transformer and the cartoon about the transgender kid.
Yes.
So, why are they? So I think you alluded to it earlier. Is the gender bender nonsense a part of the cultist religionism? Do they think that 5-year-olds need to know about gender ideology or pronouns?
I'm a conspiracy theorist on this, and I won't even pretend to hide it, especially in light of what we now know about Epstein and everything. I think that it's in a lot of people's interest, like globalists. They want a compliant society. They want a compliant general public that they can kind of push around. So I think that there is, if you look at like the testosterone levels in the average male born after like 1975, the testosterone level has fallen off a chart. It's wild. It's wild to see, like, they want to get rid of the manly men. So yeah, they want to, and it's wild to me. They know this, like Jordan Peterson has talked about this, and Dr. Drew has talked about this, child psychologist. Once you introduce like a sexual notion into a kid, it fundamentally changes their brain and how their brain is wired. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's so disgusting and nauseating to even think about.
Yeah.
But I do just want to kind of last question for you. I know I've kept you for a really long time, and I really do appreciate it. But if you could, just take out your crystal ball, 5 years from now, will the pendulum have swung, you think, more towards where it was going, DEI, wokeness, intersectional feminism, or will it swing back towards, as you said, kind of the manly, Rambo type, characters and stories that we've seen and grown to love?
I don't know what will happen. I know that we have a chance. I want the pendulum to swing back to like just good storytelling. I don't care from whose perspective it is, but we have a chance. Elon Musk turning X into a wonderful place where free speech is allowed is huge. And if Bobby Kennedy Jr. can find out what's going on with the food supply and with the vaccines and what that's doing to the human body, that's a good thing as well. The sad part of it, and the part that has me really concerned, is the pendulum never swings back far enough. Everybody always goes, oh, we moved to the left, but then we swung back. You went 7 paces to the left, and then you came back 3. And then you went 7 paces to the left, and you came back 2. So when you look at like where America is, like morally and self-sufficiently, you wouldn't recognize like 1970. Like 1970, people, if you drop someone off from 1970 in 2026, they'd be like, what in the hell are you doing? They'd like iPhones. Like the phones are cool. But that's about
everything
it.
else,
It's
they'd be like,
America.
get that shit out of here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I knew something was up when, you know, I have kids, and there was a whole group of like kids, friends of, you know, my sons, and like no one was into cars. And you're like, what's like, I couldn't wait to get a car. Oh, I got to get out there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn. I'm going to talk to girls about. No, it's a wild thing to witness. And I don't think it's accidental. I don't think it's accidental. It's when the health and the welfare and the chemical makeup of a human being changes so radically over such a short time span, people notice, and they let it go if they want to let it go. And it's a very disconcerting thought.
It really is. Michael, thank you so much for your time, for, you know, shedding light and offering your opinion. And I do believe, I strongly agree with you that this is a spiritual battle that we are fighting. We are fighting evil
Yes.
in the clearest sense. So I thank you for your great work. I want to give you one more opportunity to plug your studio and your podcast. So where can people go to find you?
The easiest thing is theloftusparty.com. That's going to be, I created like a digital space where everybody can meet, and there's posts and there's podcasts and YouTube channels. The studio is Studio TST, and we've finally overcome all the great hurdles and the slings and arrows of Google and Apple, and so we're now, the app is available on the App Store and Google Play and all that great stuff. So yeah, download the app, and we're creating content and trying to help other content creators, filmmakers, musicians. It's a wonderful endeavor, and it will only make America better.
Amen to that, my friend. Thank you so much again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, man. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too, my brother.